Slim.
Right
so,
on.
there you do. John Lee Hooker bestowed that on me when I was 21 years old. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I am Mark Slim Stevens, and I am recording an interview with lovely and talented Samantha Fish, who is in town, Minneapolis, Minnesota, for a show, and we are live on Facebook. Hello, Facebook. If you're in the Minneapolis area, you can still get tickets from KFAI, by the way.
Yes, Minneapolis.
We are at KFAI, and I do the show The Big Blue Train on the website. And I am honored to have Miss Samantha Fish sitting across this table, here to talk about her music and her life and life on the road and everything else. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
You're touring hard.
We're touring like crazy. We've been on the road. I mean, it feels like the last 5 years, really. I mean, we tour for 2 years solid, make an album, change a tour, go out again for 2 years solid. We get a little bit of time off at home, but I mean, we pretty much live on the road.
Life of a blues musician, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the life of any musician now, I think. You know,
it is.
Things sure have changed, but...
I just was really glad that you got a show back in Minneapolis for the Chills and Fever tour. You got the full band with the horns and everything tonight?
Yes, we got the 6-piece tonight. And yeah, I love Minneapolis. We've been coming up here for, it's like once a year for the last 3, 4, 5 years or so, and it's a great town. We have a lot of good fans up here.
And you timed it well. It's the weather's nice. It's a little warm for us, actually.
I know. I put a sweater on today thinking things were going to be...
And you get up here and it's 83 degrees.
Yeah, exactly. It's awesome.
But if any of the Facebook Live people are interested, you can call the radio station, 612-341-3144. We do have some tickets to give away if you're in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We do a lot of stuff with the Cedar Cultural Center, where the show is tonight over on the West Bank. Literally, as you guys learned, kitty corner from where we are right now.
Yeah.
And I was told that we have some tickets to give away, so if you would like to get some tickets for tonight's show, what's the start time? I think it's 6:30.
7:30.
Maybe 7:30.
Ken Valdez
goes
he's
on.
opening the show.
Look that one up.
Yeah, we'll
I should know this.
You should know this.
Oh, I'm busy.
I should know this too. I'm sorry.
I should know this because I'm hoping to go. If I can score tickets, I'm going to go.
There you go.
Yeah.
You got it.
Okay, right on. Anyhow, we're doing Facebook Live for the Samantha Fish Facebook page, and I am recording this interview. It will air on the Big Blue Train in the very near future. And I want to talk about just how you started out. You're still so young, which is awesome because the blues needs young blood in it. But I'm just curious. I know you started as a drummer.
Yeah.
And you came from a relatively musical family?
Yeah. My dad played guitar, and all of his friends played guitar. My uncles did. My mom and my aunts, they all sang in church. My sister sang, and she plays keys and guitar. And so, I mean, music, although it was never like the forefront of everything that we did, it was just like always around and there. And I think that it became something that we did as, my parents did for fun. And so it was like, when I wanted to have fun, I wanted to have fun with the adults. I learned how to play guitar and started playing drums. And, I kind of came to that desire on my own, which was cool.
Yeah.
My parents never really forced us to do, they never said you got to play this or that. They would have never asked me to play the drums. I do know that for sure.
Yeah. Those are the worst instruments for parents.
Yeah, exactly.
When it comes time for practice.
I had a violin when I was like in 2nd grade, and I know that just drove them nuts. So, but when I came about that age, it was like I wanted to do it, and started playing guitar around 15, singing too.
What were you? When did you first find yourself just attracted to music in general? What kind of stuff? I assume there was always like music in the house, maybe the radio or records or whatever.
I remember being a kid and like finding songs that I was really attached to songwriters and lyrics, and like I'd find, if I'd be down or something, I'd find a song that I'd kind of attach myself to, and it was like, something that I could emotionally connect to. Well, I think I was just a really shy kid. Yeah. Like communication I wasn't the greatest communicator. I was really shy. I mean, I just remember from, the earliest age, I just being like terrified all the time. So. Yeah. I don't know, I think music was really something I connected to that I felt like gave me an emotional outlet and helped me express myself, and it was like hearing somebody else tell my truth through their like songs and music. It was kind of just, I think that's probably what pulled me into it.
Okay. What kind of stuff were you listening to when you were a younger kid?
Oh man, crazy stupid stuff. Everything, kids listen to, I listened to the radio. Okay. I mean, that's what we had. It was like, I had an FM radio, and so we listened to all the great music on the FM radio. I listened to terrible stuff. when I started playing guitar, it was like I kind of gravitated towards, you know, the alternative rock stations and, you know, the classic rock stations. And that's how I think that's, you know, probably how I started finding blues music was that, you know, guitar players like Stevie Ray Vaughan or Eric Clapton and Jack White, who is on alternative radio, the White Stripes and stuff, and just listening to Nirvana. And I mean, but all that stuff to me kind of like when I started like doing research about it, it was all blues based. And I think I just started on that journey. You know, you just start going backwards, and before you know it, you find Charlie Patton.
Yeah.
It takes a while.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's a story that I'm used to, and a story I'm familiar with, not being a musician, but being a music fanatic all of my life.
Yep.
I grew up actually in the Los Angeles punk rock scene in the late 70s.
Yeah.
And then went to a show to see Johnny Winter with somebody I had never heard of called Muddy Waters.
Wow.
When I was 13 years old. And that was like a life-changing event for me. And that put me where I am today talking to you.
That's amazing.
You know, and it's just a journey that happened. And so I like to know who you were listening to, who influenced your playing. Why gravitate towards the drums when you were younger?
Because it was physical, you know, and kids,
like
I think
stuff.
when you're kids, you see like that looks like the most fun instrument on the stage. I mean, I see it at our shows, you know, I see kids always fixated on the drummer because, I mean, they're doing the most damage up there. And, you know, so for me, it was like, yeah, I want to inflict that. I want to do that. I want to feel that. And it was really hard, you know, just trying to figure out how to, I couldn't like pick out the drums in music. I started taking drum lessons, and my teacher was a jazz guy. And he was awesome, and he hated me. Not hated, but I'd come in with AC/DC songs. He'd be like, "Oh God, really? Do-da, do-da, you can't hear it?" It's like, I don't know, I'm just a kid. But I think it was, you know, when I started going and seeing live music, my father took me to this place called Knuckleheads in Kansas City. It was a blues club, and I started seeing like touring artists that were, you know, playing blues music, and it was like all of a sudden music became a tangible thing for me because, you know, I'd always had this, you kind of see it as something that's unattainable. You know, it's not really a practical idea to go be a musician. At least, you know, where I grew up, it wasn't the forefront of anything. So I just kind of figured it to be a hobby. But then when I started going out and seeing people live, it was really inspiring, you know, to see that how it can be done if I just work really hard at it.
Well, I think probably timing has a bit to do with it as well, because you came along in that scene in Kansas City when there was a lot of local stuff starting to percolate up.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
Traveling
Oh, there was
Foot
so
and,
much.
you
So
know,
much.
other stuff going on there. So it's kind of, Kansas City had its own little renaissance there.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
still
man.
going on.
It's
I think,
crazy. Like,
to a degree.
really, Kansas City was such a good place to grow up. Musically, because there were so many, every night there was something going on when I was 17, 18, 19 years old.
Okay. All those years ago.
Yeah,
All those years ago.
I think there's still stuff going on too.
Yeah, there probably is.
Yeah.
So when you put out your first record, how old were you?
Oh, 19, 20
19,
years old.
20 years old. Okay.
Yeah, but I was my own, and I didn't know what I was doing. I just recorded a live show because I needed something to sell. I needed to go. What happened was I needed to go to Chicago, and I needed a way to pay for it.
Okay.
So I made a record.
Okay.
And people are still asking about that record. It's gone. It's long gone.
I've played tracks off of it.
Which one, Live Bait?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Although I actually just re-downloaded it.
Yeah.
I lost my music collection a couple weeks ago.
Well,
We'll talk about that off the air. That's another story.
Okay.
But yeah, no, because it's a good album because it's got. I like it because it's a raw.
So raw.
Well, yeah, but there's something about that, you know, because blues is supposed to be raw, anyways.
Yeah.
And you obviously, I mean, I know you will readily admit, you fall into the rock side of blues.
Yeah.
For the most part, is in the Stevie Ray Vaughan vein, Johnny Winter vein, things like that. And do you get much flack from the blues purists?
I wouldn't call it flack so much. I mean, when we play festivals, I mean, there was a time, you know, a couple of years ago when I kind of started doing it as a joke because it was like, we were getting some flack from people. It was like, oh, that's not a blues band. We're like, let's play War Pigs in our set. You know, so we started doing that because, you know, Sabbath wanted to be a blues band, and it was like, somehow in my mind I made it fit, but we started doing it just like, because it was so outrageous, but then people were like, they either loved it or hated it.
Yeah.
You know, but sometimes the purists would be like, you can't play Black Sabbath at a blues festival. It's like, well, try me. We're going to do it.
Yeah.
And, I mean, everybody's got their own opinion. I think we get so fixated on subgenres and defining exactly what this should be and what blues music should be and what direction it should go in. But I think that when you do that, you kind of start to smother it, and it starts to lose the artfulness to it.
Yeah.
And you got to let things breathe. And I think evolution in any genres it's necessary. I mean, that's why country music is what it is today. Whether or not you like it, you might hate modern country music, but there's so many different subgenres of it. I mean, there are great artists out there doing country, like Sturgill Simpson and Jason Isbell are some of my favorite performers and writers on the planet.
Yeah.
But that genre's been allowed to grow and breathe, and the peers kind of let go a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I'm all for it.
How did the Roof Records contract come about? How did you tour Europe and get discovered there? Did they come to you, or?
I was playing a lot of regional and local shows. I mean, at that point, I've been booking my trio for a couple years, and filling up my calendar like on my own. And I had gone, like I said, I bring up Knuckleheads a lot, but when I was young, I went there all the time. I'd go there a couple times a week just to see who was playing. I met so many people, like peers of mine today.
Yeah.
I met when I was a teenager at Knuckleheads, just going and sitting in with them. One of those guys was Mike Zito, and he found out through the grapevine that they were looking for a third person to go on this roof caravan, the Girls with Guitars.
Yeah.
And he threw my name out there because he knew I was working hard and he thought I'd be a good fit. And Thomas came out, saw me, and that was it. It kind of went from there.
Okay.
I know. And then I got my own contract with them, and now here we are, like 5 years later.
Yeah. 4 albums in.
4 albums in. I'm releasing the 5th in November,
Yeah.
so we got 2 coming out this year.
That's a lot of work
I
doing
know.
2 albums in a year.
Mm. I know.
That's kind of crazy. And from what I've been reading about the upcoming album, we will talk about Chills and Fever, but what I've been reading about the upcoming album is it's going to be very different than Chills and Fever was.
Yeah, I mean, they're both stark contrasts to each other. I feel like, whereas Chills and Fever's got this rock and roll, soul, punk, Detroit feel, Belle of the West, which is what's called, it's like Nashville meets North Mississippi. It's my songwriter's semi-acoustic record. It's edgy, but it's got some really personal songs, and there's a lot of depth to it. And the musicians that recorded on it, Luther Dickinson produced it, Jimbo Mathis is on it. He penned the title track Belle of the West. Lightning Malcolm, all these females from Mississippi and Memphis area, like Sade Thomas played fife, and Takira Jackson from Southern Avenue plays drums on it and sings.
Wow.
Amy LaVere plays upright and sings. Lily Mae, the fiddle player from Nashville. I mean, there's a lot of female voices. It's kind of a female power record,
There's nothing wrong with that. And
Not at all.
That's another thing I was going to mention is the last 6-7 years there's been a really positive influx of new, fresh female artists
Exactly. Yeah,
in the
for
blues
sure.
and roots scene. There's there's Nikki Hill, Ina Forsman,
Yeah.
lots and lots of
Lots of-
Amanda.
Yeah, my sis.
yeah, your sis.
Amanda.
And it just and just a lot of them though are Tasha Taylor, are on Roof Records.
Yeah.
Layla Zoe.
Yeah.
And there's something that they're doing at Roof Records, I think, that's kind of helping fuel that, which is great. But all of you are very, very unique, very different,
Yeah.
yet have that sort of more broad roots music feel to what you're doing, which I love.
Yeah.
As far as blues influences, though, for you specifically, guitar, you've already mentioned Clapton, Stevie Ray. Who else do you look to as guitar influences for your blues playing?
Well,
you play a lot of slide, which is great.
I think really what connected all the dots for me, and what really kind of set me off was when I found North Mississippi music, and I started discovering the Fat Possum roster, and I found R.L. Burnside and Jeannie Kimbrough and then the North Mississippi All Stars off of that, and that's how I met Luther.
Yeah.
It was just because I was a fan of that kind of music, and to me, I think it's because I liked more aggressive. To me, it's like the raw punk blues.
Yeah.
And it was speaking to college kids. Back in RL was huge, in the late '90s and everything.
Yeah.
For me, that really connected the dots, and I loved the way they played because it was so melodic, and really more about the drums.
Yeah.
Than the guitar, so there's that whole, I was like a drummer and me really attached myself to that music. But yeah, I mean, I try not to limit myself on the guitar player front because, there's so many great ones out there, and you can pick and pull little things that you like. You know, and I'm trying to get broader with it every day.
Yeah.
But I don't have like a favorite guitar player. Everybody asks what's your favorite guitar player. I'm like, I don't really have one. I like things about people, you know.
Yeah.
But I do think the North Mississippi thing helped me a lot.
Okay. Yeah, I got a thing on my show that I do. You got to listen to my show. You guys need to start streaming my show.
Stream the show.
Samantha Fish's people need to start streaming my
Yes,
show.
stream the show.
For goodness sakes, you're in
What's
that
the show
band
called
for
again?
the Big Blue Train.
The Big Blue Train.
At kfai.org.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a Facebook page too. So
Find 'em.
facebook.com/Big Blue Train. You can follow me there.
Yeah.
But I do a segment called Kane's Corner,
Okay.
which is a Chris Kane song every week.
Oh wow, nice.
And Chris Kane is, you say you don't have a favorite guitar player.
He's pretty.
Chris Kane is my favorite guitar
He's
player on
pretty
the planet.
great.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I've lived in the Twin Cities for 22 years. And he's only been performing in the Twin Cities 4 times
Yeah.
in 22 years. And I've known Kane since 1990, I think. So
Yeah.
for a long time. And when he was coming to town about 6-7 years ago, 8 years ago now, I was really excited. I was talking to all these people about it. And Michael Burks said, Michael, what do you think of Chris Kane? He's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I was, oh God, that guy can play the guitar. And Deborah Coleman.
Yeah.
And Debbie Davies.
Yep.
And Anson Funderburg. And then I got to interview B.B. King. And right around the time that Kane had done his B.B. King tribute album. And after I'm wrapping up, I said to him, B, have you heard that album that Chris Kane did on you? And he got this big B.B. King smile on his face. He leaned back and says, Chris Kane, he says, that boy can play the guitar.
Yeah. Yes,
So-
he can.
And he's one of those guitar players.
Yes.
You know.
Oh no, for sure.
I digress, but I just love that guy so much, and I think every guitar player should listen to him, even though I'm not a
yeah.
musician. And the people that don't know him, when they hear him, they're like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
why you're so
totally.
excited about this guy.
He's
So,
amazing. He
yeah.
really is. I think the first time I saw him was on the cruise.
Okay.
You know.
And he's got a new album that just came out too.
He's
So,
amazing.
but we're here to talk about you. I apologize. I
No, it's
digress.
okay. And when I say
I
I don't
digress,
have a
Facebook
favorite
fans.
guitar player, I just mean it as like I noticed when I started like getting really into somebody, you know, I'd have to pull back a little bit because then it's like I'd start sounding, I'd like almost sound, you don't want to sound too much like anybody else. So I mean, I'd start pulling away from certain guitar players. I like try to go listen to something else because,
Yeah.
but I think, you know, you got to listen to people. We're all ripping each other off. You know, that's
Oh,
the
yeah,
thing is
yeah.
you pull little things here and there, but I always try to keep it interesting.
Yeah, well, there's a local kid here that I've known since he was 18 years old. He was a total Stevie Ray Vaughan clone
Yep.
when he started out, and he's 36 now. And when I met him, I threw just a whole bunch of guitar players out. I said,
Yep.
you got to listen to other stuff. And 20 years later, he's now his own player.
You find your
You know,
voice.
it took a long
yeah.
time. And it was a matter of just he had to get exposure to all that other stuff.
Exactly.
And that's the thing about the blues world and the roots world in general. I mean, you listen to Dave Gonzalez from the Paladins, or listen to Brian Setzer,
Yep.
you know, and get that rockabilly flavor into it, and Chuck Berry, of course, and there's so much great stuff out there.
There's
And the stuff that you're doing is such a great amalgam of what's come before, and that's why people ask me at my age,
classic country stuff, you know, and then the new guys I mentioned, Jason Isbell and Sturgill Simpson, I think they're poets, you know.
Yeah.
Tom Waits was big for me.
Okay.
You know, there's just the imagery that he was able to kind of conjure up. I mean, it's all really poetic stuff. And it's funny because I read some of his books, and he was more a fan of poets than like other songwriters. So that kind of like intrigued, you know. To me, I was like, oh, there's a whole other school of people to pull from. And you know, of course, like Bob Dylan's amazing. Everybody loves Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Talking about great songwriters. Neil Young. And there's a lot about Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. They write songs that speak to 30,000 different people for 30,000 different reasons. There's this kind of like the way he's able they write their songs. I feel like it's easy to connect to.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of songs, you're going to play some songs for us.
Yeah,
right?
I'm gonna play one. This is not mine. This is off of the Chills and Fever record.
Okay.
Do you want me to wear these?
Yeah, if it'll help you out, absolutely.
Let's see.
And I got to do a little bit of adjusting on the microphones here
Oh yeah.
to make sure that we're not going to be blowing things out. I'm going to turn my microphone off.
Okay.
So we got your voice mic.
Hey. How's Facebook doing out there, Chris?
They are ready for a song.
Are they? Oh, are they mad?
No, they're right.
So
They're
why don't
they're
you tell
anxious.
us what this song is?
Well, this is called Crow Jane, and it's a Skip James song. Well, it's not a Skip James song. It's older than Skip James, but it's like public domain. So I don't really know who wrote it. But I listened to his version, and I loved Skip James. When I started looking at blues music and listening to blues music, there's something haunting about him. So when we were going over material for the record, I just kept coming back to this. It was a last minute addition.
Okay, so this is going to be on the new record.
No, this is off of Chills and Fever.
Oh, this is on. That's right.
Yeah.
This is on Chills. I should have known that.
Yeah. Crow Jane, don't you hold your head high, 'cause someday, babe, you know you gotta die. I wanna buy me a pistol, want me 30 rounds of ball. I shoot Crow Jane just to see her fall. And I dug that woman's grave with a silver spade. Ain't nobody gonna take my Crow Jane place. And the reason I pick Crow Jane, don't you hold your head high, 'cause someday, babe, you know you gotta die. You gotta die, baby. Crow Jane, don't you hold your head high, 'cause someday, babe, you know you gotta die. I never miss my water till my well run dry. I didn't miss Crow Jane till the day she died. And the reason I've been Crow Jane, don't you hold your head high, 'cause someday, yeah, I said, no, you gotta die now. Oh, you gotta die now. Baby, oh. No.
Crow Jane, Samantha Fish. Thank you. That was awesome.
Thank you.
There, we'll give you a round of applause.
Oh.
There's just me in the room and your tour manager here.
Mr. Chris.
He's got one hand in holding his phone for
I'm getting tired over here.
Facebook Live.
No, you're not.
My phone's about to melt.
Uh-oh. Sounds like Facebook Live might die.
No, we're good.
We're good. Okay.
I'm just getting burned.
Okay.
You need a glove?
Yeah.
So yeah, Crow Jane, that is definitely one of those old public domain songs. I think I've seen it credited to Sonny Terry at some point.
Yeah?
As well, yeah.
When
I know he's done versions of it. So.
I looked through and there's like a lot of different versions, especially from way back then. We ended up I just don't with public domain, so we're looking for publishing information. That's always a trip, especially with this record, Chills and Fever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all cover material from like 50s and 60s, kind of these obscure classics. So some of the information was kind of hard to find.
Yeah. Well, now the title track, I absolutely love the title track.
Thank you.
I'm going to say, my personal opinion, your best recorded vocal so far.
Oh, thanks.
It's the sex appeal on that song. You can like peel off the walls.
We
so
dialed up. I dialed up a character on that one because that's like, when I went in the studio, it was like I can't just approach this with my normal voice. There's like a little sex kitten
Yeah.
in there. It's
Yeah.
Chills and Fever. So.
It works, and that. But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, that character runs through a lot of the songs throughout the album.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
it's
different
me.
levels.
It's me. It's
Yeah.
just it's been kind of fun, you know, when I going in and making this record. It was such a liberating experience getting to do it with this bigger band because I really had the opportunity to kind of explore the vocals a little bit. It's a little more soul driven. My favorite singers when I was starting out, to sing were a lot of soul and R&B singers. And I mean, when I played in my trio, it's like I did more kind of rock oriented vocals and everything's a little more straightforward and driving. But this record kind of allowed me the opportunity to like play a little more, and this, is something I had. It wasn't a voice to use on any of my other records in the past, so.
Yeah. No, it works.
It's a sexy record too.
It is.
I mean, there's a lot of sexiness in
No,
it.
absolutely. And the video.
Yeah.
How was that? How was that?
My road manager was in the video. He was one of the hands.
Okay.
A lot
I
of
always
my
have one
friends-
hand.
You were just one hand?
Yeah, one
He's
hand.
That was a fun video to make. It was like kind of an interesting concept. There was no real love interest, but it was ghostly hands.
Yeah.
I thought it turned out. I wanted something sexy and creepy, so I feel like we
It worked.
we
worked.
hit it on the head there. Yeah.
That's one of those rare modern music videos that I actually go back from time to time and rewatch.
Good.
So I love that video.
I think it's a weird medium anymore, music videos, because MTV doesn't really do anything. But it's for the internet. You're making something for the internet, and whether it has staying power, I think it just has to be there has to be something artful in the video. It has to be artistic and kind of. I've done straightforward videos before, so I like doing something a little. You get to kind of dictate people's perception of the song and how they imagine what the song is. You can kind of like direct even more creatively.
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
Yeah. Because you talk about some of those singer-songwriters that you've been influenced by. You have probably concepts of some of their songs that don't at all relate to what they were thinking when they wrote it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this way you can kind of help form their opinion or their vision of the song. It's a little bit more of a way of expressing yourself and getting your idea across. So.
Yeah. How long of a process was Chills and Fever from conception to completion?
Months and months and months.
Was it?
Really, once you get in the studio, it's like things, they move because we take a long time setting it up and record, and it's like, this is what we all came together for. This is nice, and then it's finishing. You're tearing your hair out again.
Yeah. And were you able to get the whole band in the studio and do it?
Oh man, we all stood in the same room and did it. The only isolated, the only ones isolated were the horns in a horn booth. And then,
Okay.
I cut some of the vocals live right next to the drums, and
Okay.
we had the bass and Joey Mazzola on guitar and keys in the same room. It was really cool.
Because it has a great feel to it. It has that 60s kind of,
yeah.
soul, garage rock kind of live feel to it.
It
So
does.
I thought perhaps that you had done that, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
So that's great. So any other favorite tracks off of that album?
Oh man, well, yeah. I mean, I like it's funny because as we play them, I start finding other tracks that I really favor, and I loved recording the ballads like "Nearer to You." I thought that was such a beautiful song. That was one of the first songs that we decided to do is the Betty Harris song. It's actually it was penned by Alan Toussaint.
Yeah.
And then the Nina Simone song, Either Way I Lose. I found her version. I don't know if she wrote it or not. I don't think she wrote it, but her version of that was like really an emotionally compelling song, and it was something so different than anything I'd done before. The chord changes and the vocal delivery. It was really like a stretch,
Yeah.
But then, live, some of my favorite tracks have been like Somebody's Always Trying, as I stretch out on the guitar and I put this cool psychedelic stuff, and the Cinemas and the Ronettes. Those were fun girl groups to like dig into their catalog and find some obscure tracks. I mean, there's a lot. I like them all.
Cool. And so you got this new album coming out in 2 months?
Yes, 2
Wow,
months.
2 months. Is it in the can? Is it
Done,
basically?
yeah. It's done.
Okay.
Yep.
So let's talk about the new album.
Okay. Well, I told you earlier, Luther Dickinson produced it, and we did it in North Mississippi at the Zebra Ranch studio. We recorded it there. And yeah, I mean, these are my songs. I think I ended up writing there's 11 tracks. I wrote 8, 7. I wrote most of them.
She wrote this many or this many?
Yeah, I can't remember. There are 11 tracks. I'm sorry, we did too many this year. But yeah, I wrote a bunch of the songs, so it's really personal. I feel like it's my best songwriting. There's a lot of backup
Well,
vocals.
we'll be the judge of that, Sam.
Well, you can definitely be the judge of that. I know. I was happy with how it turned out.
It's something you're proud of.
It's something I'm proud of, and it's personal. So I mean,
Good.
you know, whenever you can be proud of something, when you put yourself out there, and it's kind of a vulnerable place to be when people seem to accept it. It's really a great feeling.
Yeah.
And Chills and Fever felt the same way. You know, we really took a step out,
Yeah.
and then, you know, there were some people who were, I think, scared we were abandoning the guitar trio format. But
How did the label react when you went to them with the idea for Chills and Fever?
Oh, Thomas loved it.
Okay.
He was excited about it. He loved it. I mean, they love growing artists. They love it. I mean, his whole mantra is when the blues crosses over at Roof.
Yeah.
And so he's all for, you know, something that's outside the box, you know, that's gonna, you know, you gotta challenge the artist.
Yeah.
You know, I have to challenge myself. I have to keep growing, otherwise like, my music's gonna get stale, and then the audience is gonna get bored with it. And I mean, I feel like I have to keep growing and changing for me.
But you know, for 30 years they all shouted out Freebird
I
in
know.
every show.
Every show.
Yeah.
Well, if I ever have a hit that's as big as Freebird, I'll do it.
Okay. Okay. It's like the blues guys who say, "No, I'll never play Mustang Sally."
Mm-hmm.
Why not? It gets people on the dance floor.
It does.
Right?
It does, absolutely.
Yeah. So back to the new album, though. More of a blues feel, more of a.
It's actually, I mean,
or-
it's blues tinged. Everything I do is got
Yeah.
blues as the foundation. I feel like Chills and Fever, the root of that kind of comes back to this R&B blues.
Yeah.
So Belle of the West, you know, definitely. I think taking it to North Mississippi, it's like I had these songwriter Americana songs. It's rootsy Americana rock.
Yeah.
And I brought it to Mississippi, and then you put Sade Thomas and Jimbo Mathis on it, and you're gonna get this North Mississippi and drenched feel to it. So it's got blues in it.
Yeah.
You know, I think like I said, it's a challenge to the purists to accept something maybe outside the
Let
box.
me ask you this: you said Lightning Malcolm's on the album.
Yeah,
right?
he is.
Is there a slide duel between you
There
and
is a little bit of it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we did.
That'll be something to look forward to.
I know, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I love Malcolm.
All
He's
right.
been on the road with us before. He's amazing. He's one of my favorite guitar players.
He's
He really is.
He's an amazing guitar player.
Yeah, he is.
He's wicked on.
He
on
closes
that
his
slide guitar.
eyes. I get scared playing with him because he closes his eyes and then he kind of loses his balance and he starts tearing around the stage. It's pretty amazing.
And he's not a small guy.
He loses control. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like he's so into what he's doing. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the album comes out
November
3rd. Okay.
Official drop date.
Okay. I'll try not to hold off airing this interview until then.
Oh.
Maybe I'll re-air it.
There you go.
Put it in a second show later on. So
Thank you.
November 3rd. I can't wait to hear it. It's going to be fascinating and awesome. But that's a lot of work. I mean, what inspired 2 albums in a year? I mean,
It just, you know, felt like
did you just have a moment of creative inspiration?
yeah, I mean, it's like I felt like I had a lot to say right now. We got people's attention, and I feel really creative right now. So, you know, now is the best time to
Good for
do
you.
that. And, you know, really, you know, it's kind of like challenging people's perceptions of what they think my music is. You know, it's like, oh, you think that we're this? Well, bam, bam.
Yeah.
Double.
Yeah.
It's a little
Okay.
different.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look back to the Chills and Fever album and where those songs came from,
Yeah.
that was the era when the Beatles were putting out 3 albums a year,
Yeah.
or the Rolling Stones were putting out 4 albums a year.
Yep.
You know, so it's like go out and do 10 shows, go back into the studio, put out a new record.
It's not unheard
Go out
of.
and do 10 shows. Yeah.
It's not unheard of.
So maybe some of that vibe rubbed off on you while you were doing that.
Yeah.
And you just decided, okay, well, you know, I got another album in me now too, so let's do this one.
It just felt like the right time to drop it.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some highlights from the tour, from the Chills and Fever tour? Because I mean, having a big band to work with instead of the trio,
Yeah.
I know that frees you up on stage.
Yes.
So you because I know with trios as the singer guitar player, it's hard because you always kind of have to be at 110 miles per hour.
You know, I didn't realize, like, when I was doing the trio, because that's all I ever did, I was like, man, I was working hard, you know, but now it's like I'm still working hard, and I'm still fronting and leading the band with the guitar, but there's so much more space, and it's like these guys are, you know, really tastefully filling in space and adding dynamic layers to the show.
Yeah.
I can take it up even further than I ever could before.
Yeah.
which, you know, I remember in the trio sometimes getting frustrated because I was like, I want more, but it's like, nope, that's what you got. It's the trio. But now it's like, I feel like the sky's the limit with the bigger band, and I can stop and I can really focus on singing and like telling a story and performing and entertaining and being like really embracing more this entertainer thing, which I think before, you know, I go back to being the shy kid. It's like I'm hiding behind the guitar and I'm using that as like, I'm hiding behind it. Now it's like I have to push myself on that front and be louder and, you know, bigger.
Cool. So, but have there been any tour highlights? Any shows that really stood out?
Oh man, a lot of them. I mean,
besides being in the KFAI studios for this interview, of
yes,
course.
so this is a highlight for sure. Well, I know we're doing Telluride next week, so that's going to be...
Oh, that'll be fun.
That's going to be huge.
Take an oxygen tank.
I will. 2 nights in my hometown was really cool. We did a big venue out in Kansas City, and getting to share that with my hometown crowd was really amazing. I mean, we've done New York twice. That was pretty great to go and take a big band up there. And I mean, we've gone out to California. We've been to Portugal this year with it.
Wow.
Did Louisiana around Jazz Fest. We played a show down there, and it was really, you know, to get to go to these music cities and be embraced just as much as when you go to, you know, some of these like smaller towns. It's really, you know, it's really cool to see the reaction from people. You know, when you ask for a highlight, it's like show to show. It feels good every night. I get instant gratification every day when the show's over. So
yeah, cool. Well, for the Facebook Live people, if you're in the Twin Cities and you want to go to tonight's show at the Cedar Cultural Center, KFAI has some tickets. 612-341-3144 is the front desk. Tell them Slim sent you for Samantha Fish tickets, and you can score a pair of tickets for tonight's show. Start time sometime after 5:30 p.m. The venue will know if
sometime in the evening when the sun goes down.
Yeah,
maybe it'll be before the sun goes down.
Maybe as the sun's going down.
Yeah.
We're kind of in that weird time of year.
It's definitely today. Just go up now.
Yeah, a little higher north, so it's getting darker earlier. I really appreciate you coming in and doing this for the Big Blue Train for my radio show. I hope you start listening.
Cool.
I want everybody to listen to my show. I think it's a pretty good show. You're going to do another song for us.
Yeah,
you're
I'm going to do something off the new
album?
record. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So this is off of, I wrote this one.
All right. Were you going to use my dobro for that?
No, I had that tuned to another thing, so I'm just making sure. I'm going to take my headphones off.
Yeah, no problem.
I just want to make sure my volume level's
And
right.
I'm going to turn on the microphone for the guitar this time.
Oh, you didn't have it on?
Well, that's why it got real loud all of a
Oh,
sudden.
yeah, no, that was good. I liked it.
Okay, so
This
everything's
is a
good
song
to
I
go.
wrote called Need You More.
Cool.
Yeah. Another bar, another hotel room. I thought maybe you'd be calling soon. These days fly by without you. Nothing's right, but nothing's wrong. My feet keep moving, but my mind's withdrawn. Painfully mistaken my big talk for the truth. There's no one left for me to take it out on. I revel in the spin down to the bottom. I push you out to the unknown, but troubled heart takes a feeling home, and I need you more than you'll ever know. I know that hopeful troubadour, he gave his all, but they needed more. I know that lonely ain't the lowest thing to be. Baptized by fire and compromise, I'm busy chasing my own high. Sometimes when I look in the mirror, I'm still a long way out. And there's no one left for me to take it
very pretty.
Thank you.
Wow. I'm hoping the weird buzzing that I'm hearing in my headphones is only in the headphones.
Okay. Well, if you need me to do it again for the show, I can.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Did you have buzzing in your headphones?
I
when you had
didn't
them on?
have the headphones
It's
on.
well, but previously.
Oh, no.
Okay,
No,
then
no.
it's probably just the headphones. Cool. So, Samantha Fish. We found out what time the show is. 7:30
You
p.m.
did?
Yeah.
7:30.
I was like, wait, I have a Facebook event that
That's
Ken
awesome.
Valdez sent me for that. So, Ken Valdez is the opening act, by the way.
He's great.
He's awesome.
Phenomenal.
Nice kid, too.
Yes.
Very nice kid. So, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. You've been here like 45 minutes now.
Well, thanks for
Yeah,
having me.
time
This was
flies.
really great.
Yeah,
I love talking to you.
You're awesome. Samantha Fish, everybody. Facebook Live.